morning, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to introduce and read the citation of NIQR Accurate Award of Outstanding Quality Man to Dr. S. SOMANATH, former Chairman ISRO. Dr. SOMANATH is currently the Vikram Sarabhai Distinguished Professor at the Indian Space Research Organization. As Secretary of DOS, he has piloted the Indian space policy, facilitating in-space activation. Chandrayaan-3 landed near the south pole of the moon was the great success under his leadership. Dr. SOMANATH has been a delegate to the UN Corpus, Vice President of International Astronomical Federation, and participated in the International Astronomical Congress held at different countries. He is a Fellow of Indian National Academy of Engineering, Fellow of Indian National Academy of Science, Fellow of Astronomical Society of India, Astronomical Society of India, and a member of International Academy of Astrologers. With immense pride and privilege, we, the member of NIQR, present the NIQR Accurate Outstanding Quality Man Award 2025 to Dr. SOMANATH, a dynamic scientist and leader in quality management in this day, 29th of August 2025 at Chennai.
The hall is full with energy. We would like to hear from the applause.
Good morning, all of you, and thank you so much, NIQR, for selecting me for this award. I would like to thank not only from me personally, but also from the organization, ISRO, for this award to me. Just today morning when I came, Dr. Sri Balaji was asking me how ISRO is able to do all of this in terms of the technologies, in terms of the missions that you achieved. And what are the characteristics that make you people to do this? I believe that ISRO is able to do fantastic missions and accomplishments in a governmental sector as an organization due to various reasons. One, of course, is the leadership that it has created. Very inspirational leadership. Those leadership, very from the beginning that we had Vikram Sarabhai, Satish Dhawan, and many others that followed, created a vision for the organization and an inspirational story around the organization. The second aspect is the culture that we built in the organization. As a public sector organization with government funding, you understand that how efficient it can be, how inspirational it can be internally. We'll wonder. But then the moment I entered into the organization 40 years back, I realized that it is really an inspirational organization to magnetically attract people and then retain them internally and then do wonderful transformative work within the organization to really do great things within the organization. And that is a great story that requires a lot of time to explain to you. But then there is another important element which is called the technology. At the beginning when we started the space program, and we were very open to accept and bring technology from outside. And we realized the people outside were doing fantastic things. And when we were doing small rockets, people were going to moon and landing in the US. We had a gap of almost 60 years. But the gap we needed, jumpstart in technology, and we need to acquire technology from others. And we had no hesitation to go and then build that partnership with various spacefaring nations. We worked with France to build the first of the liquid engines. Then we worked with Russians. We worked with Americans. And we learned in the process in terms of building engines and systems. And today what we have, we owe quite a bit to them. And we have no ashamed of telling that. And we reverse engineered, or rather we engineered and understood how those things were built. So in that process, we created huge knowledge base within the organization. The people in the organization, though they are not coming from IITs, I know I used to say this, they are not coming from IITs, they are coming from engineering colleges which are more local, though IITs are local organizations, but I have no shame in telling that. They come from many other institutions, but we trained them to skill them, upskill them to become great engineers and scientists. And they created the knowledge which is needed to work on such complex systems. Of course, in terms of the quality, there is another aspect which we realized internally, that space systems are not tolerant to even the minutest of defects, because it will show up as great explosions, which are very colorful explosions and fire shows. Now, we have seen many of them. In the early part of my career, I have seen quite a bit of such failures. But failures quickly taught us that you need to be understanding the systems which you are dealing with. You cannot make massive systems with large margins, and we cannot allow for deviations to creep in. So we created systems to handle design, we created systems to handle quality, we created processes to ensure that, again and again and again. And this is far ahead of the industries that actually we talk about in Indian industry. Many of these practices that you follow in industries today were created in the organization 70s and 80s. And because of that, when we dealt with industries who are building systems for us, we realized soon that they were learning from us, not the other way. So the processes that created internally enabled us to build very reliable and safe systems, which saved our face much later, that we have stories of success that we can be very proud about. And in terms of the softwares that we built, we had seen many glitches and failures in building complex systems. And millions of codes that goes into building rockets and satellites, all written and developed internally within the organization. All the technologies that we built in terms of satellites and launch vehicles today are done internally by our own people, not outsourced. So this outsourcing concept of building complex systems is not followed in ISRO. Everything is done internally. But then, once that is done internally, developed internally, it is not being done in terms of manufacturing internally, but it's taken outside, and industries are encouraged to develop and co-work with us in terms of building these complex systems over a period of time. And both of us got benefited. Industries got benefited in some way, and ISRO also got benefited in terms of building large number of systems which are definitely in front of us. But that while I received this award, I want to thank the entire fraternity within ISRO who has been the pillar of strength for the organization. Thank all of them. But I have one message which I resonate with all the earlier speakers. I think what is in front of us and how we should respond to the changing geopolitical situations that are looming in front of us in terms of the challenges, especially the domains like high technology. This is the time where we need to look at us much more carefully. I think I fully agree with Sri Balaji when he talked about our neighbor. I think their progress is phenomenal. As a scientist, I have been watching them for the last so many years. We have seen substandard journal papers coming out of that nation in the universities 20 years back. But today they are able to produce the world-class scientific outcome out of every laboratory. Why they are able to do that? Today, our connect between research institutions and industry is very weak in this country. I think this is something which we need to transform in the days to come. The progress in scientific technology development in many, many areas, not just space, but in all other areas will happen only through the connect between academic institutions, industries, and public sector undertaking. It is something very, very important. I think this is the next step of upscaling our innovation culture within the organization. I also want to tell you that IIT Chennai is doing fantastically well in terms of that connect that is needed. I congratulate them for getting the award this time. I think this is to be replicated not across one IIT, not the 23 IITs, but across many, many other education institutions, including private universities. This connect has to become stronger. Second is our ability to invest in high technology area must also increase. I think the industries today are very risk averse in terms of investing and creating high technology work everybody is scared. For example, I was in ISRO and wanted them to invest in space sector. Many people are not willing to invest because they don't see quick profitability, the long gestation time, and the profitability being low compared to many other sectors. The issues are many in high technology domain. Of course, it requires a governmental intervention to support in case they don't make it successful. But then this risk averse is actually stopping us from making progress. If you are to really make jump start in domains of technology, as Sri Balaji said, we need to have industries who are willing to invest at least some share of their strength into high technology domain. And I'm very sure about the skills of people like us in India. I think we will be able to overcome the challenges that are in front of us in terms of the high technology. And the only way to move us from the positions of economy, wherever we are today in third, fourth, or fifth, it doesn't really matter, to the higher level will happen only when we use technology as a tool to scale up our economy. Not by trade, but by becoming innovative, by creating technologies that will go into products and services and which will actually fetch businesses, which will feed back into the research and development as a cycle. I think this is the next step that we need to happen, and it had to happen across domains. Let it not be in space, but also into electronics, materials, production of services and systems. Even in tooling, for example, China, their fantastic capability in tooling. We have been discussing this. One of the focus and thrust that the government today is giving to manufacturing, I think this has been announced recently, that manufacturing is going to be the next focus area for the government. I think this is a great thing for community like us. In an NIQR, when we discuss that, this is going to receive huge support from the government in the coming days, looking at the geopolitical situations. I think all of us should prepare ourselves to be ready to take on the next plunge, and wish all the very best to NIQR for recognizing so many people who I don't want to name once again, but thanks to put me also in their community. Thank you so much.